Good evening. You can't change the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails to always reach your destination. Welcome to BMC News Live in English. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. Bahrain to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2060. This year's Manama Dialogue convenes in Bahrain's capital from November 19 to 21. WHO panel recommends emergency use listing status for Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. US says oil gas sales damage climate but won't stop them. News in detail. Bahrain to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2060. Kingdom of Bahrain endorses key international climate change initiatives. Bahrain's delegation at COP26 led by His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, along with the Kingdom's Special Envoy for Climate Affairs and CEO of the Supreme Council for Environment, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Mubarak bin Daina, today pledged the Kingdom's support for four key international climate change initiatives. First, the UAE Net Zero by 2050 Strategic Initiative. Second, the Global Ocean Alliance 30 by 30 Initiative. Third, the Global Methane Pledge. And the fourth, the Greening Government Initiative. The UAE Strategic Initiative aims to strengthen multilateral cooperation, exchange best practice, and drive joint climate action to achieve net zero carbon emissions. The Global Ocean Alliance 30 by 30 initiative aims to protect at least 30% of the world's oceans as marine protected areas by 2030. The Global Methane Pledge, which was launched as today, plans to cut global methane emissions by at least 30% by 2030. The Greening Government Initiative will better enable participating countries to exchange information, promote innovation, and share best practices in order to achieve the greening of government operations. The Kingdom of Bahrain's endorsement of these four key international initiatives is evidence of its commitment to international cooperation, action to tackle climate change, and follows the Kingdom announcing its intention to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2060. Pledge to save forest and cut methane gas emissions. Leaders at the COP26 Global Climate Conference pledged yesterday to stop deforestation by the end of the decade and cut emissions of the potent greenhouse gas methane to help slow climate change. On the second day of the two-week summit in Glasgow, Scotland, wealthy nations took some overdue actions to provide long-promised financial help for the developing countries worst hit by global warming. The United Nations Conference aims to take alive a receding target of capping temperatures at 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels to avert still greater damage than has already been caused by greenhouse gases. Proposal to name Bahrain Airport after His Majesty, the King, approved. The Council of Representatives approved the proposal to change the name of Bahrain International Airport to King Hamad International Airport and referred it to the government. The justifications for the proposal stated that it comes in appreciation and honor of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa's efforts and vision to develop the airport. Bahrain addresses labor issues through dialogue. Bahrain always seeks to consolidate social dialogue, especially at the labor level, said Labor and Social Development Minister Jamil bin Muhammad Ali Humaydan as he opened yesterday the Social Dialogue in Times of Crisis conference. The two-day event is organized by the General Federation of Workers' Trade Unions in Bahrain in cooperation with the International Labour Organization. Addressing the conference, Humaydan noted that Bahrain boasts a pioneering experience in the field of tripartite dialogue with the existence of workers' trade unions that operate freely and independently. He said that despite the impacts of the pandemic, the government workers and employers have proved their keenness to carry on tripartite coordination. Multilateralism and the Middle East will be the theme of this year's discussion at the Manama Dialogue. US defense policy in the Middle East, changing multilateralism and regional security. The Gulf and Asia will figure high on the agenda of the Manama Dialogue when it convenes in Bahrain's capital from November 19 to 21. The dialogue, a central element of the Middle East security architecture, brings together policymakers, government ministers, members of the expert, business and opinion-forming communities from across the Middle East, North America, Europe, Africa and Asia to discuss the region's most pressing policy issues and suggest answers. The Middle East Premier Security and Defense Summit has been held in Manama in collaboration with the International Institute for Strategic Studies since 2004. According to the organizers, there will be a keynote speech on November 19, 4 plenary sessions on November 20, and 3 plenary sessions on November 21. The sessions will be on the record. Bahrain participates in World Travel and Tourism Expo. The 2021 edition of the World Travel and Tourism Expo is being held on November 1st to 3rd in Exel, London, the United Kingdom. Bahrain Tourism and Exhibitions Authority is taking part in the 3-day exhibition, which coincides with the gradual decline of the global pandemic. BTEA seeks through this global expo to bolster Bahrain standing on the world tourism map as a safe destination for tourists and highlight the kingdom's credentials, facets and mega projects. It also seeks to promote the standing of the Kingdom of Bahrain as a world standard destination for family, business, sports and therapy and heritage-linked tourism. Bahrain thus keeps pace with international trends aimed to develop the tourism sector as the world starts to recover gradually from the fallout of the pandemic. E-commerce conference for SMEs discusses latest technical solutions. The Information Systems Directorate in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Tourism will host the e-commerce conference for SMEs, which will highlight the topic of business digital transformation on November 23rd. The 3-day event comes under the patronage of Industry, Commerce and Tourism Minister Zayed Al Zayani. This event encourages SMEs to adopt the latest e-commerce trends, enables them towards faster digital transformation and innovation to empower them to complete globally. The conference will include various discussion panels that will be attended by specialized companies in the field of e-commerce, digital transformation, and present the most prominent success stories in the local market. Bahrain's Minister of Finance and National Economy to open second annual membership forum. Mentorship Forum Middle East 2021 announced that His Excellency Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, Minister of Finance and National Economy of the Kingdom of Bahrain, will open the forum's second edition with a keynote address on this year's theme, Prioritizing Mentorship in a New World. The event is being held on November 11th at the Gulf Hotel in the Kingdom of Bahrain as a hybrid event with expected participation from more than 400 C-suite leaders, human resources, mentorship experts, and professionals across sectors. His Excellency will address a local, regional, and international audience on the importance of mentorship following significant workplace changes that have resulted in the wake of COVID-19 and how mentorship can be leveraged to keep training, development goals, and ultimately business and economic goals on track. Bahrain reports 43 new COVID-19 cases and 67 recoveries. Of the new cases detected on 2nd November 13 were expat workers, 24 contacts of local cases and 6 travel-related. There were 67 recoveries. There are currently 2 cases in a critical condition and 4 cases receiving treatment. Now we will be back after a very short break. Welcome back. WHO panel recommends emergency use listing status for Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. India's indigenously developed coronavirus vaccine by Bharat Biotech has been approved by the World Health Organization. The Technical Advisory Group of WHO on Wednesday recommended emergency use listing status for Covaxin. The approval of the vaccine will be a blessing for thousands of foreign job seekers in India. India imposes fines up to ₹1 crore for Aadhaar offences. Violations of Aadhaar can now carry a fine of up to ₹1 crore. The act authorizes the Unique Identification Authority to take action on violations. The rules were noted by the IT Ministry in accordance with the Aadhaar Act passed by the Parliament in 2019. Once the Violations Act comes into force, the authority will be able to appoint officials to monitor the violations. It's an offence to hack Aadhaar data and provide biometric information to another person. Asia Pacific Group endorses UAE's bid to host COP28 in 2023. The Asia Pacific Group of Nations today endorsed the UAE's bid to host the 20th conference in the parties in 2023. The endorsement was made at the COP26 summit in Glasgow that has brought nations states together to accelerate action on the goals of the Paris Agreement and UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Netherlands raises pandemic risk level, reimposes mask rules. The Netherlands is tightening its COVID-19 prevention measures in light of the country's rapidly rising number of infections and hospitalizations. A mask requirement will be reintroduced for public places such as shops, hairdressers, libraries, government buildings, train stations and hospitals. People have also been told to stay 1.5 meters away from others where possible. Just over a month ago, the country lifted many measures and abolished the 1.5-meter rule. The number of infections has climbed since. US says oil gas sales damage climate, but won't stop them. The Biden administration is planning to sell oil and gas leases on huge tracts of public land in the US West, despite the Interior Department's conclusion that doing so could cost society billions of dollars in climate change impacts, according to government documents. Administration officials announced last week that government regulators for the first time will analyze greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels extracted from government-owned lands across the US. Burning those fuels accounts for about 20% of energy-related US emissions, making them a prime target for climate activists who want to shut down leasing. President Joe Biden campaigned on pledges to end new drilling on public lands. Hundreds of parcels of land that companies nominated for leasing were dropped from the sales because of concerns about wildlife being harmed by drilling rigs. Facebook to shut down face recognition system and delete data. Facebook said it will shut down its face recognition system and delete the face prints of more than 1 billion people amid growing concerns about the technology and its misuse by governments, police, and others. This change will represent one of the largest shifts in facial recognition usage in the technology's history. Jerome Pesenti, Vice President of Artificial Intelligence for Facebook's new parent company, Meta, wrote in a blog post on Tuesday. Its removal will result in the deletion of more than 1 billion people's individual Facebook recognition templates. He said the company was trying to weigh the positive use cases for the technology against growing societal concerns, especially as regulators have yet to provide clear rules. On Thursday, it announced its new name, Meta, for Facebook, the company, but not the social network. The change, it said, will help it focus on building technology for what it envisions as the next iteration of the internet, the metaverse. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I'm Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.